races, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. Their tears are filling up their glasses, no expression, no expression. Hide my head, I wanna drown my sorrow. No tomorrow, no tomorrow.
Hello, my name is George Gibbings, and in this video I'm going to present my case. What can be done to the UK system? What needs to be done to the UK system? What can be saved within the national budget? The first aspect we looked at within the budget is the welfare. What can be done to help society with a smaller budget? My policy is to decrease the budget in this sector by 2%, which is approximately £4 billion. This way people can work for their money, which means that people who do not work or are unemployed can benefit more from a smaller budget. This will benefit the wider amount of society whilst helping people who are actually in need. This is what someone from society thinks.
I think cutting the welfare budget overall would be useful because once it's cut we could allocate the appropriate benefits to those who are on lower incomes and in need of it the most. So basically people who don't need it as much could maybe be persuaded to go out and work. Therefore with these changes we could improve the budget overall, both financially and socially.
Along with welfare, the health sector needs to be looked at as well. This can be done by cutting the budget by £9 billion, which is approximately 6% from the current budget. This way, people who need operations the most get, whilst others who don't need it right now have to wait. This way, more can be done from less, meaning that it's more beneficial to society. Someone who is an expert in this field, what do they think?
I think that the policy suggested is a good idea for the following reasons. By reducing the health budget in this way, the people who need operations the most will be treated first. This in turn makes the money used in the health sector more purposeful, e.g. money is spent on operations that have to happen fast. The focusing of the health aims within a smaller budget will in turn help the NHS to cope with harsh economic challenges in the long term. This will benefit the larger population of society on the whole, as people who need get, whilst others who want to enhance their lives will have to consider their decisions. As Nye Bevin, the founder of the NHS, quoted, "Those who keep to the middle of the road will get run over." Things need to be done to reform the NHS within the economic boundaries to provide fair and essential health care needs for all.
Another thing to be looked at is the transport sector, which in my policy is reduced by 10%, which is also £2 billion. This means that people who pay for public transport all obviously have to pay, but those who do not use it do not have to pay. This will bring, within a decreased budget, a sense of equality in this sector. What does somebody else from society think?
Public transport in this country is very important for the long-term growth throughout the land. Whilst I have the luxury of having my own motor vehicle, I do use public transport quite frequently, mainly buses rather than trains for short journeys, because I find it's far more beneficial, and I consider that each traveller should pay the relevant amount for the journey that they make. There shouldn't be these discounts. People should pay the same amount regardless of their age or gender or their circumstances, for that provides an increase in the income, which allows the operators the benefit to develop the network and to maintain a reliable service, which is essential for the movement of people in going about their business and pleasure. It's a great idea, and I fully support it.
My policy for education brings in money, which is the complete opposite of all the other policies. This way, buildings such as this can improve everyone's education as better technology and more equipment is brought in to enhance learning. This means that people are given more opportunities will benefit them overall. What does somebody such as a student think about this?
Well, I'm for increasing the budget of education. Personally, because I think that increasing the budget of education will improve students' education. The quality of the education would eventually, in the long term for tomorrow, benefit for their qualifications and compete against other countries, which might come in handy one day.
In terms of defence, my policy scraps building new aircraft carriers and Typhoon jets rather than scrapping soldiers. This way, more money goes to the soldiers who need it the most in current wars such as Afghanistan from a small budget. This means in turn that more money can be put into the system in a smaller, confined budget, helping the UK economy. What does someone with military experience think about this?
Budget's good, as getting rid of the aircraft carriers and the Typhoon fighter jets is beneficial, as the money therefore can be used on British soldiers on the front line where the money is needed, as the fighter jet's not needed anymore to protect UK security. This will overall improve the UK's deficit.
In terms of housing and the environment, my policy cuts the budget by 40%. In this budget, private companies take the threshold, which means the state does not have to worry about the economic problems caused. This means that the system is run totally in a different way, indicating that the economy will become more stable in comparison to other policies that would add money to increase the problem or just reduce it, which would still mean the problem's present. What does somebody in this sector think about this?
Throughout my life, I have seen many developments in the housing and environmental sectors. In this time, I have always agreed with the proposed policy as if this was introduced, pressure would be taken off the national economy. This means that the economy could stabilise efficiently in harsh times, such as this, the present day.
My public order policy, I have reduced the amount of community police officers in society and money from other high-profile security forces. This means that more money from a limited budget again can be put into fighting core crime in areas such as this park behind me. This in addition means that more money can be used to fight basic crimes which are more of a threat to a common society rather than focusing on outside threats. But do people agree with this?
Speaking today on public order and safety costs, it's become quite clear that we must reduce the public funding of certain aspects of policing, for example, where community support officers must be culled in terms of numbers and costing to more appropriately reflect their effectiveness in relation to the cost. Other issues including border control, at the present time, because of terrorism and its effect on the public and the national finance, should be maintained. In other terms, the restriction of free legal advice, whilst this may be desirable at the present time, the huge costs in legal aid fees currently being squandered by many companies is excessive, and ways must be found to trim the cost of legal aid whilst protecting the rights of the general public at large, in particular the poorer members of the public.
The policy of culture, media and sport has much debate within it. For instance, in my policy I've decided to almost cut everything, which in total accumulates to 40%, which is approximately 3 billion of the current budget. This is because the question needs to be asked, do we really need these facilities in a struggling society in order to retain an economic balance? My answer to that question is no, we do not. Therefore, aspects such as the Olympics may need to be cut down, and also social events such as things in this building here must be eliminated from our way of life. As a positive outcome of this means that more money can be put towards other things such as education, which is more important, or even health. This means that it can be used in a better way in order to develop a society collectively on the whole. But this is my view, but does anyone actually agree with this?
Of today's modern society, I believe this policy should be put into place, as it will allow us to spend money on more essential needs such as education and health. This would be a more allocatively efficient use of budget spending.
In conclusion, we all know that the UK budget has to be cut, but the things that I've cut in comparison to the budget of 2010, my policies are cut by 32.6 billion. Right from education, putting more money into it, right down to cutting out all of culture, media and sport, I believe that this is more beneficial for society to develop and contrast itself from the past. In this way, we can develop through a harsh economic period in which more positives can be taken rather than negatives. That is all.